Taiwan hints at close intelligence cooperation with India.
I think we need to start by thinking on how to exchange views or intelligence with each other on the situation that we face and try to explore the possible areas of cooperation.
Taiwan says supply chains should remain in friendly countries.
Supply chain in the hands of friends or allies is in line with national security. So we would like to work together with India as well.
I'm being joined by the Republic of China, Taiwan.
In an India Today exclusive interview, Taiwan seeks closer cooperation with India. India and Taiwan face a common threat from an expansionist China. Will India and Taiwan come together to checkmate China? That's our top focus on India First. Taiwan keeps a hawk eye on every development in China. Remember, it was Taiwan that alerted the world about the Wuhan coronavirus. Unfortunately, the World Health Organization did not take Taiwan's warning seriously, or perhaps many lives could have been saved. Taiwan is now seeking closer intelligence cooperation with India. This is an India Today exclusive. Taiwan's Foreign Minister, Dr. Joseph Wu, spoke exclusively to India Today's Foreign Affairs editor, Geeta Mohan, with this big story, and we'll get you more. What he said and its massive implications. I'm Gaurav Sawant, action-packed 30 minutes. Let's get started with the headline. This is a cooperation that could well prove to be a game changer, especially when it comes to the India-China standoff. Taiwan's Foreign Minister, Dr. Joseph Wu, spoke exclusively to India Today's Foreign Affairs editor, Geeta Mohan, where he spoke of the need for intelligence sharing between India and Taiwan. Remember, both India and Taiwan are victims of China's expansionism. Both countries are braving China and braving the situation against all odds. Neither intends to surrender or give up. In this situation, how crucial could that intelligence cooperation be? Let's listen in to Taiwan's Foreign Minister before I get you more on the story.
In order for Taiwan and India to work with each other in that regard, I think we need to start by thinking on how to exchange views or intelligence with each other on the situation that we face and try to explore the possible areas of cooperation. And we in Taiwan have the full intention in working together with India, even though this is not a military alliance type of relationship. But I think for like-minded countries to work together in exchanging views with each other, to understand about each other, is going to be very important. And it's important for Taiwan, and I'm sure it's going to be important for India as well.
That's a very crucial point that Taiwan's Foreign Minister is making there. Joining me now on the broadcast is our Foreign Affairs editor, Geeta Mohan, who brought us that India Today world exclusive. Also with me is Jaydev Ranade, former Additional Secretary of the Research and Analysis Wing, and Professor Brahma Chilani, someone who keeps a hawk eye on all developments in China. But Jaydev Ranade, as someone who's dealt with intelligence and counterintelligence, especially to do with China, what do you make of Taiwan talking about closer intelligence sharing between India and Taiwan?
I think it's something that does require to be progressed. It will upgrade our capabilities. It will upgrade, I dare say, also Taiwan's capabilities. You see, the important thing is that the Taiwanese and the Chinese share cultures, share the language, share ethnicity, and therefore the Taiwanese are best placed to really understand how the Chinese think and what they are about to do. They will have a lot of access to what the Chinese are planning and what they're saying. And for us, it will be of immense benefit. So intelligence sharing certainly is one vital area for both of us, which will help us to upgrade our capabilities and meet the Chinese threat.
Fair enough. Geeta, congratulations on this exclusive interview. Geeta, also tell me, Sushma Swaraj, late Sushma Swaraj as External Affairs Minister, had made it very clear to Chinese State Councillor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi that India accepting one China policy depended on China accepting one India policy. We don't see China reciprocating. Do we see a shift in India's stance? Intelligence sharing would be a great area of cooperation. Are we moving forward in that direction?
Well, there has been a certain shift in terms of the stand India has taken. While we still do not have full diplomatic relations with Taiwan, Gaurav, the fact that trade ties between India and Taiwan continue to increase is an area that has always irked China. And now with the push not just on this front, but the Taiwanese foreign minister also commending India in the blocking of Chinese mobile apps by the Indian administration goes to show that Taiwan is also very keenly watching what India is doing, and there are many areas of cooperation that the two countries are already working on. There have been video conferences between the two countries, between Taiwan and India, when it comes to cooperation on this front, on software front, and we will be looking at a lot of investments that Taiwan is looking at when it comes to India in this sphere and sector, which is going to be very important and certainly a worrisome area for China.
I'll come to the point of supply chains in just a moment because that's extremely crucial. But Professor Brahmachalani, if we stay on the aspect of intelligence sharing for just a moment longer, what would this mean? What would this take to take it to perhaps an advanced level? And in your appreciation, how would the Dragon react to this?
Intelligence sharing, by definition, would be under the cover. It won't be known to a third party, so it can happen. But I think for intelligence sharing to be meaningful, there has to be political cooperation between Taiwan and India. Not in an open manner, but at least in a way to build trust between the two sides. Taiwan will not share its key intelligence with India unless it trusts India. And Taiwan has great intelligence insights and also intelligence inputs on what's happening in Beijing. And for Taiwan to provide valuable intelligence to India, India has to loosen its one China policy. One would have expected India to have changed its one China policy in response to China's ongoing border aggression. Now we are approaching nearly 6 months since China made these encroachments in eastern Ladakh by stealth. And even now we are still reluctant to shift our policy in any meaningful manner. For example, we are not willing to meet with the Dalai Lama. Even on his birthday in July, we did not convey greetings to him.
Yes.
So if we are so shy to even meet with the Dalai Lama, how do we expect the Indian government to build meaningful cooperation with Taiwan?
Okay, that's a very important point you make. In fact, not just His Holiness the Dalai Lama, but also Tsai Ing-wen, the president of Taiwan. But she, of course, has been writing and very sweetly about her food choices in India, that she enjoys a cup of tea, that she likes chana and chawal and a lot of other things that she wrote about on her Twitter handle earlier today. But there's a very important aspect in that interview that the Taiwanese foreign minister gave to India Today's Geeta Mohan, where he spoke of supply chain. Now, not just supply chain, but when we talk about supply chain, he's specifically talking about medical equipment. Medical equipment, he says, should only come from friendly countries. And why? Listen in. It's a national security issue.
During this whole period of COVID-19, we realize that relying on one certain country for medical supply is a national security problem. And if we need to overcome that problem, that means that like-minded countries need to work closer with each other. Supply chain in the hands of friends or allies is in line with national security. So we would like to work together with India as well. More importantly, for Taiwan and India to work on international stage can also be very important. We have been excluded in many international fora. But Taiwan has full potential in making contributions in international society. We certainly hope that Taiwan and India can work further with each other so that we together can make contributions to international society. And we certainly hope that the Indian government can look at Taiwan with more seriousness and the two sides can work further with each other.
After Wuhan coronavirus, several countries in Europe complained that they were getting substandard equipment and supplies from China. India had the same complaint in several instances. Professor Brahmachelani, is this a very crucial indicator from Taiwan? Medical supplies and supply chains should only be through reliable partners, trustworthy partners, perhaps not adversaries like the way the situation is today.
I think one important lesson that the pandemic has taught all countries is that depending on China for critical supplies is a high risk thing. And that countries are now realizing that they need to get away from China-dependent supply chains, not just in the medical realm alone, but in all areas, that China has been the hub of critical global supply chains. That needs to break. In fact, thanks to China's actions,
yes.
First, it exported the Wuhan coronavirus to the world. This is China's gift to the world. And second, China has used this pandemic to step up its aggression. Its aggression, not just against India, but also aggression that we're seeing in other parts in South China Sea, East China Sea, in Hong Kong, in Taiwan, for example. Taiwan faces an increasing risk of Chinese invasion.
Yes.
Thanks to Chinese actions, today the world is being galvanized into action. And today the negative views of China in the world have risen to historic highs.
Yes.
According to a just released survey of the Pew Research Center in Washington, D.C., that public mistrust of China is at an all-time high, and especially in the Western democracies, China's reputation is in the mud. So this is an opportune time for countries to break this supply chain monopoly of China.
Absolutely, and you know, it's only the truth that's now coming out in public domain. Earlier, perhaps everyone was brushing it under the carpet, trying to encourage China, but now you've realized you encourage China at your own, at the risk of peril. But Jaidev Ranade, should there be a roadmap and a timeline about how supply chains can be shifted out of China? India and Japan and several other democracies seem to be working towards it, but should there be a time frame?
Well, laying down a time frame when private companies are involved, behemoths actually, is difficult, as countries are finding it. But they are applying the levers available to them to get the countries, to get the companies to move out, and they are moving out. There are two factors here I'd like to mention, particularly with reference to the medical supplies. The first is that China, its own manufacture of medicines is not transparent. There are certain prescribed procedures that the international, which need to meet international standards. The Chinese conceal it and they don't show it. So the first thing is the lack of trust. The second is when there is no trust with the country, and most countries today do not trust the Chinese, no one is going to buy life-saving medicines from them.
Yes.
And the third point I would like to mention is not just those outside, but even inside China, people who have disease do not buy Chinese medicines, or for that matter, even Chinese manufactured baby food. If they can afford it, they buy it from outside, from abroad, or foreign
Yes.
products, because they do not trust the Chinese manufactured goods for their own babies. So that is the level of supplies,
Oh,
and that is the level of quality that you're going to
absolutely.
go to them.
And Geeta, is there a roadmap? Because Government of India has been working, about getting supply chains out of China, setting up supply chains in India. It does take a lot of time, infrastructure, but are concrete steps being taken beyond words?
Well, indeed, there is a lot of conversation that is taking place. And like Brahma said, this is a wake-up call, not just for India, but for the world to move away from hostile nations. That's what the Taiwanese foreign minister called China a hostile nation, and move the supply chains away. While that is at work, what is unfortunate over here, Gaurav, is the fact that Taiwan's best practices when it comes to handling the coronavirus pandemic and how they dealt with the supplies, be it medical or for that matter any other assistance, was not taken into account by the WHO, by the United Nations. Why? Because it's still not recognized as a nation, and that was the most unfortunate bit, because one of the countries that did the best when it comes to handling the pandemic itself
Absolutely.
was Taiwan, and it continues to remain Taiwan. So that in itself goes to show that how important Taiwan is, and Taiwan indeed is a very critical has a very critical space when it comes to the global supply chain. So yes, India is working with Taiwan. The trade ties between India and Taiwan right now might not be significant in number, but it certainly looks like it is going to grow in the coming future.
That $2.5 billion, 60,000 plus Taiwanese workers and people in India, will that increase in the times to come? That pace will remain extremely critical. But there's another very important aspect, and that is democracies coming together, not just openly to counter China, but to ensure that rules, international laws are accepted and followed by all, especially by China in South and East China Sea. India is talking about rules of sea being followed, international laws being followed. What did Taiwan's foreign minister have to say about this, especially Quad cooperation and Taiwan? Let's listen in.
We are very happy to see that the like-minded countries, the major countries in the Indo-Pacific, are being working with each other to deal with the common threat in this region. And for Taiwan, we have been watching very carefully, and we have traditional very good relations with the United States and Japan, and we also enjoy very good relations with Australia, and our relations with India is getting better and better. And therefore, we certainly hope that Taiwan can start thinking about how we can work with all these countries that are taking part in Quad discussions.
Okay. Brahmachalani, how do you see Quad moving forward, and do you see Taiwan and other democracies in the region coming together and cooperating more? Or will that be seen as a military alliance against China?
There are two things we should remember. Taiwan might be small. Asian countries, because its mere existence ties up a sizable portion of China's armed forces. If there had been no Taiwan, or if China had gobbled up Taiwan, then all those Chinese forces would be available for use against India, Japan, Vietnam, and other countries. So maintaining Taiwan's autonomy is critical for Asian security and also critical for India's national security. The second point I want to make is that because of China's expansionism and its muscular policies, democracies, not just in Asia, but in the wider region beyond Asia, are beginning to recognize the threat that China poses to the rule of law and to international peace and security.
Yes.
That's the reason why in recent days, Germany of all countries has released an Indo-Pacific strategy, and Germany, being the current president of the EU Council, is seeking to prod the EU to come up with an Indo-Pacific strategy. Now, this indicates how even distant powers are being goaded into action because of China's aggressive behavior. And Taiwan, in this larger scheme of things, is so important because if China invades Taiwan and is able to absorb Taiwan, then that would fundamentally change the whole framework of international peace and security, and it will increase the threat to India in particular.
Absolutely, it's international peace and security. Very, very significant point you make there. Let's listen in to Dr. Joseph Wu on China's expansionism and the threat it poses to the civilized world, to democracies across the world. Let's listen in.
We also noticed the dispute along the India-China border. And therefore, you can see that we are facing the same issue. And that issue is the expansionism of authoritarian Chinese Communist Party. And we have to think about a way for democracies, for like-minded countries to work further together. We have traditional good relations with the United States, with Japan, and we want to develop closer ties with India as well.
I will let that be the last word on the show. Like-minded countries and democracies need to come together against an expansionist China. Remember Prime Minister Narendra Modi, when he traveled to Ladakh, he too spoke about expansionist forces in the region and the fact that the era of expansionism was over. Geeta Mohan, once again, many congratulations for that brilliant interview. Jaydev Ranade and Professor Brahmachilani, as always, many thanks for joining me on this India First special. That is all I have time for on the show this evening. Many thanks for watching.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.